Good morning and good afternoon. This is Tim Pennington of Loyalty 360, welcoming you to another episode of our Loyalty 360 Leaders and Loyalty series. In this series, we talk to brand leaders about what they are seeing and hearing on the front lines of customer, channel, and brand loyalty. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with two individuals, Ari Kotler, who's Chief Executive Officer of GPM Investments, and Michael Bloom, Executive Vice President and Chief Merchandising and Marketing Officer of GPM. GPM is a rapidly growing leader in the U.S. convenience store industry. They are the seventh largest convenience store chain in the U.S. with close to 3,000 locations. And so I'll start off, welcome to both of you. And I'll start off by, I just give a brief explanation of what GPM is, but if you could just tell us a little bit more about your company and all that you guys have available.
Sure. So, company started in 2003. I got on board in around August 2011 with the idea, of course, of, the industry is very fragmented. As you can imagine, over 150 convenience stores, countrywide. And when I came on board in 2011, I came with the idea of become an industry leader, industry consolidator. And since 2013, basically, we put an M&A team together. And since 2013, we were just on the run. We've been buying companies. Usually what we are concentrating and targeting are companies that are third, fourth, second generation companies, family chain. We are concentrating on secondary markets, small town that got very little competition. And, usually what we're doing, we're keeping their family brand, the legacy. And, most of the brand that we bought over the past 7 years, we did 18 acquisition. We bought brand that their average, years in business, it's over 50 years.
Wow.
I mean, we have companies that started in 1906. We have companies from the 50s. But it's, we have decided that this is really our strategy. And the reason for that is because all of those brands got a lot of equity in the brand. I mean, you're talking about brands that have been there for 50, 60, 70 years. Everybody knows the brand. And, the brand is there for us to stay. And that's basically what we're doing over here.
Gotcha. Sure. So tell us a little bit about each of you and your role is with GPM.
So, thanks, Tim. So, Executive Vice President of Merchandising and Marketing, and I joined the organization June 3rd of last year. Spent most of my career in the retail pharmacy business with CVS, and joined GPM last year. After meeting Ari and hearing about the backstory as well as what his vision was for the organization going forward. That's what really excited me and got me to join this organization.
Great. And as I mentioned earlier, team, I joined the company. I came on board in 2011. I'm the largest shareholder of the company. I bought the control in 2011. And as I said, I mean, that's what I'm doing. I mean, I'm in love in the industry. Love the, the opportunities over here. And, besides being involved 24/7 in the business, also very involved in, basically M&A and the growth of this company.
Gotcha. So the reason we're talking today is, you just rolled out an enhanced fast rewards program. Like I said, what we do is our organization talks nothing except about customer loyalty programs, customer engagement, those type of things. So tell us about the features of this enhanced program. You've had it around for a while, but what are the features and benefits for your customers?
Yes. Maybe I'll say a couple of words, Mike.
Sure.
Maybe I'll just say a couple of words about the past, and then I'll let you go all the way to the future. So,
of course. Because
that's also coming along with Mike's experience. So just remember, team, Mike didn't say that. But Mike comes from, CVS. And as you know, and, when I met Mike first, we actually started with a 10% penetration in loyalty. We put the loyalty program a couple of years ago just to start and just, to capture some customers and engagement. And, we were at the 10%. And when I met Mike first, I said, Mike, with your experience, what's the loyalty penetration? And he said, well, with CVS, it was 75%.
Right.
So,
Right.
so as I said, we really put it just the fundamental for us. It was just customer engagement to grab the customer. And when Mike came on board, we really tried to leverage his experience. And now Mike is going to talk maybe a little about, what he knows about loyalty and where is he planning on taking this to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So, yeah, thanks, Ari. So, yeah, as you know, as I'm sure you know, Tim, right? Mm-hmm. I was around during the days of the launch of the Extra Care program at CVS.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the premier loyalty programs in the country today, mm-hmm. with over 100 million active members. Mm-hmm. And so when I think about loyalty, and I'll tell you, let me just give you a little bit of backdrop, and then I'll probably answer maybe all these questions. But this is about this is about customer relationship marketing, right? This is not about a card and a discount to get a price. This is about changing behavior with our consumers. This is about nurturing relationships with our consumers. This is about driving more trips, which ultimately creates loyalty, right? Loyalty is easy to say, but you have to engage and nurture and constantly talk to the consumer the way that they believe you know them, right?
Right.
You know them. The emails that we're going to send to our consumers are not going to be generic emails. They're going to be emails based on the purchase patterns, based on the number of trips they've made or that they haven't made. We're going to send a notice to them that says, hey, noticed you haven't been in the last couple of weeks. Here is a reason for you to come back, right? Mm-hmm. Or let me be the first to wish you a happy birthday a week before their birthday, right? Mm-hmm. Or you name it, right? There's oodles and oodles of ways to nurture relationships. We partnered with Paytronics. Mm-hmm. We went through a pretty extensive interview process, and we were down to we narrowed it down to 2, and we decided to go with Paytronics, and we're happy we did. I think they're one of the premier, aggressive, innovative platforms out there. So, what's different about our customer relationship marketing program, if you will? One is the rewards are going to for our industry. Customers can receive double the rewards that most of our competitors. So where most are in the 2% range, and we're going to be in the 4% range, which is very rich, by the way, for consumers. If they do what we want them to do, and they visit frequently and they spend, they'll earn 4%. And the other piece I like about our program, the way that we've developed it, is in our class of trade, we did a lot of research across the various convenience stores. I feel like I know the drugstore model, so because I was there and helped execute that from a merchandising side of it. But a lot of our competitors have catalogs, right? You earn points, you go into a catalog, you select your widget, and ours is about your rewards your way. Ours is about they're your points.
Right.
You earned them. You spend them the way you want to spend them. You can redeem them for fast bucks, which is just like cash, or you can redeem them for fuel, cents off at the pump. Your choice. They both have equal value, 5 cents a gallon up to 20 gallons, or $1 for a fast buck. You can do it any way you want. So there's that. We developed a new app, but phase 2 will be even a more enhanced app than we have. We are cardless today. You can go on our app. You can download the app. You can. The app needs to come into the next century, which we will do. We wanted to get all the bugs in the program right. And one other thing that I want to mention that we've done that I think is two things we've done that I think are very different. One is we've enlisted all of our associates as ambassadors to the program.
Mm-hmm.
And some are starting to do that. In fact, I just started reading a couple that are starting to do that. You know, to us, we believe they are the key to our success, right? This is a grassroots enrollment campaign where the associates in the store need to communicate with that consumer and get them to enroll, right? Because once they're enrolled and they're automatically opted in, we can talk to them. And once we get a chance to talk to them, we think we can hook them, right? We just need them enrolled. Enrollment. Right. And then secondly, we'll have surround sound marketing inside, outside with our associates, and even with our new remodel prototype that we're getting ready to introduce in a few months. Mm-hmm. Fast Rewards will become a part of the sort of decor and design inside the store, which actually I haven't seen yet, which I think is interesting, but I think it'll be a neat little twist.
Right. Yeah, it's important that you were talking about getting your frontline people involved in this, because that you can have the best system, but if you've not got frontline people trained and bought in, you could have a serious problem. Let me ask Michael, the difference between repeat buyer and a loyal customer. So talk to me about what you all feel is a loyal customer. What does that mean to you, customer loyalty with that?
Yes. So, well, there's two ways to look at it, right? There's the financial metrics that we know. Mm-hmm. I pulled it up here. I'm going to actually give you some stats, sure. But mm-hmm. Our cigarette customer, we break them down as cigarette, non-cigarette, because mm-hmm. cigarettes is such a big piece of the convenience store class of trade.
Right.
So we look at both groups of customers, and believe it or not, it's split 50-50 for us as far as the loyalty goes. It's almost 50-50. It's pretty close. But those that are what we call enrolled or registered, which, I've heard both terms used.
Right.
That customer makes visits us 7.5 times a month.
Okay.
If they're not registered, it's 3.5 times.
Wow.
Now that basket, you can so think about that. Right. They visit twice as often.
Right. Yeah.
They spend about the same. It's a little bit less, but I'm okay with a little bit less, because like most times, if you increase trips, the basket will go down a little bit.
Right.
But the number of trips more than makes up for it. Right.
Right.
And non-cigarette customers, let's see here, trips per month. Let's see here. Sorry, is if they're it's interesting if they are so
they're non-cigarette buyers you're talking about.
Non-cigarette customers. Let me see here. Oh, I thought I had it. Maybe I did. Oh yeah, here it is. Non-cigarette customers are 4.7 times a month if they are enrolled, and the same thing, half of that if they're not. So the same behavior, whether they smoke or not, they double their trips.
Right. Right.
And it doesn't take a lot to just do the math on that when they're spending just about the same. Literally, it's within pennies. And do the math of the incremental trips. It's a fairly significant number. So that's one. Two, and then there's this, there's always the soft benefits, right? I mean, mm-hmm. Look, which is they shop you, they like you, they mm-hmm. are sometimes your best advocates in the marketplace, right? They tell their friends. Mm-hmm. So there's all of those soft benefits that we love. And our consumers in general are pretty loyal. We've been there for them. One of the Ari strategies from very early on was to acquire these regional chains that you heard him talk about.
Right.
And strategically, we've decided not to change those brands in the marketplace.
Right.
So we've kept brands like Scotchman, Easy Mart, Village Pantry, mm-hmm. Fast Mart, because they have such an important legacy in the market they're in. And when the big corporate giant of Speedway or others, other big right. national chains come in, we're still viewed as the local convenience store. Right. And so they've been loyal to us. This gives them more of a reason to be. We're trying to get right. them to be even more loyal. So,
it's funny you mentioned that. Everybody kind of knows there's that higher loyalty, which is emotional loyalty, where yes. You've got people that then are your brand ambassadors. They'll talk to others about you, and you're right that people which is smart of not changing the name, because that we'll kind of lose it for some people that it's not the same people that are running it, you know.
That's
you
right.
know, I've never have understood restaurants that will put up a sign and say under new ownership that I like, because it's not the same now. I kind of get that feeling it's not the same that I had. But for talk about emotional, it sounds like you've got some people that probably have been coming to your locations for, like, you know, years and years. You know, that
Right.
emotional loyalty that goes
Right.
to it. They go in, that's where they get their cigarettes, or they get their milk, they get the gas, they get those things that they need to get, like you said, two times a week, it seems like.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, those are our best customers, right? I mean, they visit us most often, they spend the most money, they love us, they love the associates in the store, they know the store manager by name. I mean, those are the ones that we'll have, we hope to have even a more in-depth relationship with, right? Those are the ones we like I'll use the analogy because I'm kind of new in this business, but the analogy that I would use at CVS was the heavy prescription customer. They were our best customers, spending the most money. We made the most money, and we have those customers, whether they're smokers or non-smokers. They visit us most often. They're as loyal to us as they know how to be, you know. And sometimes, as you know, retailers give customers every reason to leave. Right. And so this helps that stopgap, because look, we're retailers, right? We're not perfect. I haven't met a retailer yet that's perfect. And sometimes we give them reasons to leave. And hopefully this will be just another stopgap, because we want to create and even an even tighter bond with those best consumers. Now, those will also be the consumers that'll be the most difficult to enroll. Right? Because they tend to be, I call them mature customers. And sometimes they're afraid of these types of loyalty programs. But once you get them, and we got them at CVS, once you get them, the emotional connection is almost a bond that can't be broken. Right. It's really quite amazing.
It is. Well, let me ask you this you spoke about this earlier, working to personalize these rewards experiences, your emails to them, knowing a little bit about their buying habits, tailoring it, knowing when, you know, maybe when their frequency, when they haven't been around for a bit, and you kind of nudge them a little bit, you know. How do you all do that? How do you go about that? What's that program look like for you all?
Yeah. So first of all, it's a lot of data mining, right? So it's all the data mining with all the purchases and knowing what they buy. And one thing I should tell you is that we've put together an advisory board of manufacturers, which is also, I think, kind of new. But we've enlisted 10 CPG companies that we believe has a broad representation of our mix of merchandise. But the criteria was they had to be tops in their game at customer relationship marketing. And so you can imagine the Pepsis of the world and the Miller Coors of the world, and et cetera. And the, you know, it could be Hershey's of the world, right? That will be on this advisory board. So they will certainly be assisting us with, the reason I mention that is because, like anything, there are adjacent purchases. When you know that customers are buying A, they have a high likelihood of buying B. And that's how we're going to communicate. We know, because we know they bought X. Right. And we know that Y goes with X most of the time. Right. And so if you're buying this, we're going to send you something for this. And they're going to go, wow, how'd they know that? Or the reverse of that is, which is what we did at CVS, is sometimes you want to be rewarded just on the things that you know that I'm buying all the time. Give me a deal. Everybody loves a deal. So, you know, there were two schools of thought I remember in my past life. One was, well, why do you need to discount that? They're coming for that every 3 weeks. We can see it. Every 3 weeks, they're coming for that, whatever it is they're buying. Well, sometimes that's exactly what creates the emotional connection. They know me. Boy, how'd they know I needed that? Think about if we know you're buying something every 3 weeks, and in 17 or 18 days, we send you a coupon because we know you're due for buying that. Bingo. They go, wow, they know me. How did they do that? Right.
Right. And there's a science not sending it too early. Is that correct? I mean,
absolutely.
They may
not
just
sending it too early and not being late.
Right.
Right. Well, because right. Exactly.
They're going to buy it anyway. Why incentivize that?
But don't you hate when I hate when I get home or sorry, I'm at the register at CVS and out pops that 8 foot long receipt. And I go, gosh, I wish I had that before I came in the store. Right. Now, which I can tell you a funny story about that later, but because we actually fixed that. But yeah, I mean, it's about that. And then it's also about the surprise and delight, right?
Right. Exactly.
It's about new items. We know new items drive traffic. We know that customers, what X% of our business every year is on new items. Well, think about the captive audience that Hershey's has or Coke has with loyalty members that they can communicate. It's the most efficient spend, right? For any CPG company is to talk to the people that have the highest likelihood of purchasing your product, right? So if I know you're a Coke user, then I know you might like Cherry Coke, right? Or I know, you know what I mean? Like it's that I maybe a bad example, but so that's we're gonna mine data like you've never seen, and we're gonna learn about these customers, and we're gonna talk to them in ways that I think they're really going to enjoy. Because I don't think anybody's talking to them like that.
Yeah. Ari, let me ask you. One of the questions that we always seem to ask is, how are customers changing and how are you adapting to it? This year, certainly, everybody's changed. I mean, you didn't have people driving a lot. Talk about the changing habits of your customers and how you all sort of adapted to that.
First of all, remember we are operating 2,500 square foot store, right? Versus the big grocery stores. So I can tell you that what we've been seeing, at least since March, we see a lot of customers coming for larger purchases versus in the past. The one thing I can tell you, and then thanks to Mike and his team, we were the first convenience store, I believe, or one of the first convenience stores in the country that had hand sanitizers, antiseptic wipes, mask, everything was ready all the way at the end of March. And I don't need to tell you, up until May, I mean, to get hand sanitizer, it was become like a mission to fly to the moon. So the point about that the minute we actually have the hand sanitizers and mask and antiseptic wipes and all of those things, I think customers felt safe and comfortable. Second of all, I can tell you that, people used to pop on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Oh, if you go to this and this store, you can find those essential products. And all of a sudden, we become a very favorable destination for those customers.
Right.
So that's, I think, the one thing that we probably came ahead of maybe some of the, competitors. On the other end, I can tell you that, we see what customers is looking for. For example, frozen food. We don't need to tell you. Frozen food is going right now to the roof. People don't like to touch something that it's, it's open, and people want to make sure that they buy something that's already pre-packed. Frozen food, for example, I can tell you, for example, Mike is right now rolling almost 850 freezers into the stores as we speak right now.
Wow, yeah.
But again, you have to move very, very quickly.
Pivoting seemed to be a big word. Things would happen, you had to pivot and move and change and adapt. So it sounds like you guys have been very successful doing that, though.
We had, as I said, we had those essential products at the end of March. We've been watching this, by the way, since the beginning of January. We look what happened in Europe. We look what happened in Israel, Italy, all of those countries, Spain. And we just say just a matter of time. I mean, we actually had our employees working from home, I believe, second week of March already. So
that's right.
You just, just need to be proactive.
Yeah. So, with your loyalty and your customer experience, how are you all measuring that? Do you have KPIs you're looking at, your team looks at? I know you talked about data mining and really looking at some of this. How are you all measuring your successes with that?
Sure. Yeah, we just rolled that out a couple of weeks ago. We look at, of course, trips, basket. We look at penetration. Scan rate, penetration. We look at enrollment rate. We look at rewards. We look at redemption of rewards because we want consumers redeeming rewards. If they're redeeming rewards, that means they're earning points to redeem rewards, right?
Right.
So let me think what else. Enrollment, basket, frequency.
Looks like you're again, your buying habits. You're looking at what they're buying sometimes. And
yeah. We're looking at actually, yeah. Well, of course. Well, when I think of basket, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Not just size of basket, content of basket too.
Gotcha.
Of course.
Okay.
Oh, of course. Yeah. We look down to the SKU level. What's in those baskets? Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, just remember, when everything started, a lot of people had a hard time to feed their family. I mean, we can't ignore that. We had almost 40 million people lost their job
right
at the beginning. Right. And I think one of the things that we did, for example, is, Mike came up with basically a 2 hot dog for $1. 2 hot dog for $1. You can basically lose on that. And let me tell you something, Mike, how many hot dogs we sold in the last few months?
Oh my gosh. I would say 200,000 hot dogs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Close to that number, something like that. Yeah.
But as you can imagine, when we gave the opportunity to a lot of those customers to enjoy a $2 for 2 hot dog for $1, that's increased the basket.
Right.
Because you can't buy 2 hot dogs and don't buy a drink, for example. Right. So again, we did it for the purpose of really helping the customer. And I think this is the one thing about our company. We are actually living in small communities. And we are there to serve the community. We are not sitting on the 95. We are not sitting on highways. We are not on the New Jersey Turnpike and, basically every day waiting for basically a customer to come in. Right. And I think those are really the difference between, the different things between us and maybe other companies. Right.
So I think what you were saying, Artie, was that.
No, sorry. I have to correct one thing.
Yeah.
700,000 hot dogs.
700,000.
I knew that number sounded too.
I had some of those.
Yeah. It was 300,000 twofers, but 700,000 hot dogs. So that's a lot of hot dogs.
So what I think I hear you saying, Ari and Michael, is that people were consolidating trips a little bit and coming in and looking to buy more things than they normally would, just because during all of this early on, where they didn't want to go out a lot, so they wanted to make it well worth their while. So when they came in, like I guess that's what you were saying, they wanted to buy more. A little bit more items, more items.
Yeah, less trips. The basket was bigger. The trips were fewer, but the baskets were bigger. And one of the reasons the baskets were bigger was because their buying habits changed. They were buying larger packages, right? They were buying 18 and 24 packs of beer instead of a 6-pack or instead of a single, by the way, right? They were buying a lot of take-home packs.
Right. Yeah. A couple more questions I have for you all. Just kind of and I guess this will go to Michael with this. And what is your biggest? We ask for a lot of the people that we talk with. I know it was funny. A couple weeks ago we spoke with Shell and Mobile and everything. And biggest challenge you face as a senior marketer. What's the biggest challenge you're facing? And do you see it changing? Or talk a little bit about that part.
Yeah, I would say there's 2 that come to mind. One is, of course, e-commerce, right? I mean, that is a challenge for all of us, right? You just read this morning that Amazon is now officially in the pharmacy business.
Yeah, CVS took a big shock to that.
Exactly. Right. And so e-commerce right? There's GoPuff. There's the the convenience store e-commerce now and they just bought brick and mortar with Bevmo. So that's a constant challenge for us. And I do believe, having said that we are, I don't want to be naive, but we are somewhat insulated based on our consumer. Just based on where we operate in our consumer, we're somewhat insulated. So, but I would still say e-commerce is one, because somebody's going to figure out how to get to our consumer through e-commerce. Okay. I'd like it to be us. The second thing that is a constant challenge for us as an organization, I think for retail in general, is exactly what we just talked about, which is footsteps, trips. That is, you have to have feet in the door. It's why we've spent it's why we've launched our loyalty program, right? Our customer relationship marketing program. It's why you could argue the hot dog, 2 for $1 hot dog that we joke about internally a lot is somewhat of a loyalty program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think about it, right? For that consumer that can come in and buy lunch or dinner for $1,
right,
is a trip driver, right?
Right.
And we know there's a basket attached to that. So for me, it's trips and e-commerce. And if you pressed me for a third one, it's the infamous value chain, the infamous dollar stores, continued growth of dollar stores for us. They're in our markets.
Mm-hmm.
So,
gotcha. A question for both of you, I guess, is a final question, sort of. Talk about. I always ask people, what's the next big thing? What's your next big approach you may take for client loyalty or customer loyalty? Is there one that you talked about revamping your app a little bit, but not don't put words in your mouth. But what would you think is the next big thing you're going to be working on?
Yeah. Sorry, Ari, were you going to say something?
Go ahead.
No, I actually, to be perfectly honest with you, is we could tell you, but we'd have to kill you.
That's true.
Right. But
he's recording. Just remember that. We're going to know about that. So
we'll beep that out.
I mean, for me, or for us, actually, not for me, for us, I don't. It's really going to be how do you answer the game change loyalty, that shakes the entire loyalty world, loyalty 360 upside down and goes, wow.
Right.
That's a point of differentiation that nobody thought of. And I'm not pretending we have that, but I'm pretending we need to work to figure that out. I don't know what the answer is to your question.
Right.
But it is something that I don't know that anybody has an answer to that question, other than it's part of their current strategy. I could sit here and talk to you for another hour about our current strategy and loyalty, but it's beyond that, right? It's out there somewhere in the universe, and I don't want to get too philosophical, but it's out there somewhere, and it's one of the things that I think Ari's really good at, and I think I'm actually really good at, and our organization is good at, probably because Ari festers this sort of, thinking outside of the norm, not outside the box, just constantly challenging yourself and innovating. And I think we'll find that for, as a niche for this loyalty. I mean, our goal obviously is we've got some pretty hefty goals for enrollment. And in order to get there, we're going to have to constantly evolve. And that's what I think we'll do the best, is continue to evolve this program and come up with that niche. And you'll be the first we'll talk to when we have it.
I have one answer.
Yes.
Only one word, one answer. It's all about value. It's all about value. Mm-hmm. And there's the reason I asked Mike about the hot dog. It wasn't, when he mentioned 700,000, the number was big. Right. At the end of the day, people know that they come to our stores, they are hungry. Like Mike mentioned, they want to buy lunch or dinner for $1, and this is value. And again, product need to be good, don't get me wrong, but it's all about value. Because if people know that they can come to your store and get value, and by the way, that's the reason that all of the dollar stores and the Costco and all of those stores are doing terrific right now, because people know they can go in and get value for their money. And I think that's what people actually see over here. I mean, we started with this $1, and again, it's very simple, by the way. We didn't invent anything over here, but this $200 for $1 basically create an opportunity for customers to understand, hey, we understand that they're actually going through a tough time right now. Mm-hmm. And I think they appreciate that. And I think that's the reason the basket increased, because they keep coming. They keep coming.
Tim, that Ari may just made me think of something. Tim, if you think about it, the sheer nature of relationship marketing would be to be able to continue to increase the reward and the value for the consumer. Mm-hmm. That creates that stickiness, if you will, that they can't go anywhere else.
Right.
And that's why
They don't want to.
Exactly right. Of course, you always have to deliver on the promise, right?
Right.
You always have to deliver. That's entry into the game these days because there's so many great retailers out there that are delivering. You have to deliver on the promise. But if you can give that point of differentiation, I mean, I'm making this up, but what if our best customers earn 10 cents on a dollar? Are you kidding me? That would be why would you go anywhere else?
Right.
But if you do the math and they're visiting you 10 times a month and they're spending $15 or $20 each time, give them the 10 cents.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because to your point earlier, Tim, they're your best advocates.
Right.
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 So
in today's world, they can tell 50 people at a time by making a post or something or something.
With that on a Zoom call.
Yeah. They can do that.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Well,
yeah.
Thank you.
And by the way, if you're interested, we're selling hand sanitizer.
You got it there.
Like the perfume, you can use it.
Yeah. By the way, there you go.
Oh, you got the same one, see?
Yeah.
There you go. Well, thank you guys.
Wait.
Yes.
We also have gloves.
You have it on everything. You have it on.
And mask.
And wipes.
Well, like I said, I appreciate it, Ari and Michael. Thank you very much for kind of giving us an insight with this. It's very, very interesting. And like I said, good luck with those programs. Again, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. We appreciate it. And we'll hope to look forward to talking to you a lot more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay. All right.